Welcome to this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through the industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have Hernan Vazquez, marketing co-founder and advisor, investor, customer acquisition expert, and he likes to call himself the advertising dude. Welcome to the show, Hernan.
Hey, AJ, thank you. Thank you so much. It's really good to be here. Thank you for having me.
And thank you for having you on the show. Thank you for coming on to the show. Welcome to India, Hernan. And we'll be talking about how to build a remote marketing team. But first,
hmm
Hernan, just to understand, you have done great work from Fiverr.com to working with some of the biggest names in digital marketing. And you're from Frank Kern's CMO to advising Tony Robbins and Dean Grazios's marketing team. How did it happen? Means from Fiverr, a lot of people are on Fiverr and doing
hmm
great work, but not
hmm
everybody comes to the place that you are. And you run a scale-driven. You are the founder of Scale-driven, an award-winning digital marketing agency. First, how did this journey take place? It's a very inspirational journey. I'm sure there was lots of blood and tears in this journey. Just to understand how you may make it sound very easy, but I'm sure these journeys are never that easy. Just to understand from you for the audience, what exactly is the man behind the face?
Yeah, for sure. So you're totally right. It wasn't easy. I've been in digital marketing for the past 13 years now, and 13 going to 14 years now. And it's been quite a ride. And the first time that somebody gave me money online, the first time that a complete stranger gave me money online was on Fiverr.com. And I'm originally from Buenos Aires, from Argentina in South America. It's a third world country. So at some point, I left my day job and I decided to go out there into this entrepreneurial journey, whatever that was. I knew that I wanted to work with computers, doing something online or something regarding that. And I came across Fiverr.com. Now, mind you, Fiverr.com, I don't know, 13 years ago, 12 years ago, it was not the Fiverr.com that we know of today, right? Fiverr.com right now, they're advertising on TV and doing billboards in New York City subway. And that wasn't the case back then. Back then, you would go to Fiverr.com to get something done for $5 or less. And I was there. And I came across Fiverr.com. And then what I started doing, I started writing articles, right, on Fiverr.com in English, in Spanish, and whatnot. So the first time that somebody gave me money was for an article on Fiverr.com, and I got $4 per article. I was churning out articles every single day, like 12, 13, 14 hours, huddled on my computer, my laptop, trying to make, money to put food on the table. And then when you do a good job, people want to work more with you, right? If you do a really good job, then people want to, to stick with you because, finding good talent, we're going to be talking about building a remote team, finding good talent, especially remotely, is really hard, right? And we've been working remotely at my agency for the past 6 years. So this was before the pandemic. We were already implementing this remote work. And I know that there's a lot of people in India that are working remotely. And but finding good talent is really, really hard. So when you do a good job, when you over deliver, that's something that happens. People start asking more stuff from you. And one of the things that they asked me to do was to SEO optimize their articles. And then they asked me to, to design their landing pages and to design their websites. And they asked me to do all of these different things, which I didn't know how to do. But I decided, okay, I'll do a good job no matter what. And I will try to over deliver as much as possible. So if somebody will come to me and say, hey, can you manage your social media profiles? I would say, yeah, of course I can, right? And then I will go out there and spend a ton of time on the forums and blogs and whatnot and try to learn as much as possible. And then we'll turn around and deliver that service. So I think it was always a fact of, trying to over deliver and do as I would say, as good of a good job or as much of a good job as I could. And that led me to work with some of these big names. Like, for instance, I remember that I put together my first digital marketing training company. We launched a product with a bunch of partners. The name of the company is Semantic Mastery. I'm not involved in that company anymore, but that was the first company that I launched with remote partners as well. And I remember that we had our first $47 digital product. It was a teaching. It was a training product, and we used to sell it in JV Zoo for $7 or something like that back in the day. And then we realized that we needed to run traffic. We needed to learn how to run our own traffic because we couldn't be depending on JVs to push that digital product. So that's when I turn around and I say, okay, I'll take care of running traffic and getting us traffic and getting us leads. And that's how I started my journey with Facebook ads. And I started, going really deep into Facebook ads. We started getting really good results in Facebook ads. And if you're into marketing, you definitely want to learn from people that are way ahead of you or people that you admire. And one of those people was Frank Kern. So I got into his inner circle, his membership site, which was $400 a month. Back in the day, it was a lot of money for me, but I bite the bullet and I said, okay, let's do it. I pulled the trigger on it and I did it. And then I started being really, really helpful on his Facebook group, right? I started being really, really, really helpful regarding Facebook ads and funnels and marketing and pretty much everything that I've learned doing work for other people. And at some point, somebody reached out from their team and say, hey, Hernan, we noticed that you're being really helpful in the Facebook group. Do you want to help us moderate it? We'll waive your $400 a month fee. And then I was like, yeah, sure. So I kept on moderating the Facebook group. I kept on helping there. And then at some point, they were needing people to run Facebook ads for Frank Kern's clients because he was putting together his digital marketing agency. So I went ahead and I got hired as a media buyer by Frank and his team. And then at some point, his agency started growing a lot. And I was the main dude doing all of the advertising for all of these clients. And I had to learn how to hire people, right? Because at that point, I was a solopreneur. I was doing everything myself. I had maybe a VA or two doing some stuff, but everything I was doing myself. So I had to learn how to kind of unload my brain or download my brain into processes and SOPs that other people could follow so that I could build a marketing team for Frank Kern. And then I became Frank Kern's CMO and main ad guy, and I worked 3.5 years for him. And then I also became marketing director for Grant Cardone as well. And I helped him build his digital marketing agency and his remote team. And then I also built a 7-figure team for another entrepreneur called Jeff Lerner. And now I'm building and growing my own and nurturing and training my own team on my own digital marketing agency. So building teams and building remote teams specifically has been kind of the tune. It has been kind of where I have been going besides doing a lot of this stuff, besides running ads and besides buying media, besides advising clients and whatnot. Working and building remote teams for, especially when it comes to marketing, has been kind of the thing that set us apart. But it's been a wild ride, and I've been blessed enough to be, it does require a lot of hard work. It does require a lot of, quality, over delivering that quality, but also it requires a little bit of luck as well. But you need to be out there so that these big people or big players will see you. And as you start over delivering, they want to get you on board because that's the thing when it comes to talent. It's hard to find it, and when somebody understands and wants to keep you as a talent, they don't let you go. So,
right, Hernan.
mm-hmm.
So a couple of things here, Hernan. How did Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi's part happen? First thing is
Mm-hmm.
that. Second
Mm-hmm.
thing is now you run your own scale-driven marketing, digital marketing agency. And then we talk about the big guys. Now, when you get these big guys, it means it is a lot of responsibility. There are a lot of expectations from the other side.
Mm-hmm.
How do you manage those expectations? One thing is that you are a part of a larger agency. There is a larger team. You have a fixed role to play. But what about a remote agency which has got remote marketing sort of a team, a remote team which is working on big clients? How do you manage that part when there is so much of such sort of an expectation and one small issue or thing goes wrong and you lose the client? and that
Mhm.
can be, just the end of a agency. How does this whole thing work? How do you manage this particular aspect of your business, and how did you learn about this? What would you like to tell a lot of people who are may not be managing those big clients but could be on that path to managing some big names?
Mhm.
What should be the things that they should keep in mind? I'm asking you several questions at the same time, Hernan, because they are so related to one another, and also so that you can answer them at your own pace, putting them all together. Over to you.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, great question. So let me unpack here a little bit. So the first thing that you asked was about the Tony Robbins, Dean Graziosi experience. They were launching a website called Masterclass. Sorry, it was mastermind.com. Dean Graziosi, Tony Robbins, and Russell Brunson got together to launch these course and this website that also had software. It was a huge launch, and it was a website that showed people how to basically sell their own knowledge, right? So it was mastermind.com. They got that domain, and then their media buying team, their head of media buying, reached out to me because he knew that I had worked with these big players and these big brands and managing these huge budgets. He reached out to me and say, hey, can you help us? Can you advise us on this launch when it comes to media buying, when it comes to paid advertising? So I was advising them for pretty much around a month and a half, a little bit more, when it comes to the whole launch. So we will hop on calls, we will see the metrics, and then I would advise them on what to do next to actually get more people through the door. So, but that was again based on the connections. And what I like to say about that is that it only takes one good connection to completely change your life, right? Like I right now, scale-driven.com, we are advertising heavily, but also we get a lot of people that knew me or know me from, doing Facebook Fridays for Frank Kern or doing a lot of training for Grant Cardone and all that. So people are coming in and they're saying, yeah, I saw you here, I saw you there. And those are relationships that, might have ended a couple of years ago, but they will yield results for the rest of your life if you can. So I think that one connection can really, really change your life when it comes to those type of, playing in those leagues. And then to answer your question, when it comes to the responsibility and the expectations, there's a couple things here. The first one is that I'm really, really big on under promising but over delivering. What do I mean? I mean that we work with these big budgets, and we also have a couple of big clients, but we also work with small and medium-sized businesses, right? So because a lot of people will say, well, you work with these big names, they have a lot of brand equity, they have millions of dollars on ads to spend, does this work for me? Which I might not have their budgets or their brand or their lists, their assets and all that. And the answer is yes. The answer is we kind of distill down those big campaigns, big budgets into small and medium-sized businesses, which are the bulk of our clients, right now. So we're giving them results. But when it comes to responsibility, of course, there's a huge responsibility working with these big names because everybody wants to work with them, and you need to be, on top of your game. So something that I like to do is to manage expectations with our clients pretty much every single day. This is something that we need to manage. And when it comes to paid advertising, when it comes to direct response, when it comes to digital marketing, advertising, it's more like a marathon than it is a sprint. And most of these guys that have been around for a while, they know this. They know that you come in, and if you help them increase, let's say 1% of conversion rates across their funnel, that it's a big impact on their bottom line, right? Because they're spending a lot of money. So 1% improvement anywhere, it's a lot of money in additional revenue, more clients and all of that. But also they understand that marketing and advertising is a long-term game. This is what the main difference between what I see, these big players, big names, big brands, how they think about marketing, advertising versus some small business owners that might be struggling. They do recognize that the more they advertise and the more they keep on advertising, the better results they will get. So something that they do, no matter if it's a recession or a pandemic or whatever, they keep on advertising. Like they do not shut off their ads. Maybe they will lower their ad budget, but they don't shut off their ads because they realize that advertising gets better through time. So again, this is a marathon rather than a sprint. So funny enough, usually it's harder to manage expectations for smaller clients that they haven't advertised before, right? And they might have seen a YouTube video that, or somebody has been promising like millions of dollars magically if you just push a couple buttons or run some Facebook ads. And it's harder to manage expectations there than it is to manage expectations with established brands, somebody that understands the game of advertising and all of that. Now, with that being said, there's a lot of responsibility. And something that I learned when it comes to hiring remote people and hiring a remote team is that, and initially it wasn't like this. Initially, I was like, okay, I'm going to hire a newbie, I'm going to hire a beginner, and I'm going to train that person from scratch because it's going to be cheaper, it's going to be more, cost effective, and I'm going to train that person through time, and I'm going to tell him or her exactly what to do in order to achieve these results. The problem with that mentality is that you get a lot of people that are good at following directions, but they don't have initiative, right? And you still need them in your organizations. Don't get me wrong. You need these type of people that are good at following directions. That they're good and they're diligent and they're responsible in their job, but they might not have the vision, right? They might not be creative. They might not get out of their own way to actually problem solve. So that was like the first couple of years I hire and train those type of people, but then I would only scale so much. So what I did was kind of change my approach. And now we're trying to get people that are better than us in different verticals, right? That they're smarter than us in different verticals. Like, for instance, one of the best things that I could possibly have done in my digital marketing agency was to put a general manager, right? I put a general manager in charge of all of the team communications, the dynamics, the processes, the reports that we give to clients and whatnot. And that freed up my time to focus on business growth, right? As a business owner, as a CEO, as an entrepreneur, if you're not focused on business growth, no one will. You need to be focused on business growth. Unless you have a partner that's focused on business growth and it's invested as much as you are. But the reality is that right now, my job as the CEO of the company is to focus on business growth, not that much on fulfillment. So I needed to put somebody that's better than me when it comes to fulfillment, operations, and processes, and pay her accordingly, right? Pay her over market salary so that I could get that part figured out. So Alex Ramosi put it really well. He says, pay 1.5 or 1.5 market share or market rate to get 5 times the output. And that is something that you can get when hiring A players, because the stakes are high and you want things to operate at an excellent level, if that makes sense.
Right, Hernan. Right. Then how does somebody build a remote marketing team? What is it that they should keep in mind? How do you do that? And also, it's about cultural sensitivities of the client. If the client is based in the US and you are hiring somebody, say, from your home country, would they understand the same things the same way? Because the client will not want to adjust. You have to adjust according to that. And how do you convey that to the people who are working remotely, maybe in different places? If it's in the US, perhaps they will, but there also the sense of understanding the same thing might be different. So that is one thing. How do you manage that with your remote marketing team or remote teams?
That's a great question, actually. And you're totally right when it comes to cultural differences and time zone differences and sometimes idiomatic differences, right? So when it comes to, so for instance, when I was working with Grant Cardone as his marketing director, building his agency, we had kind of a hybrid model. We had a group of people that went to the office. We were at the Aventura office in Miami, Florida. And there were a group of people that went to the office, myself included. And there were a lot of people that were remote, right? So people that were going to the office were because they were either local or because we were finding people that would have soft skills but not hard skills. Like, for instance, account managers will come to the office and we could train them into our processes and systems and all that at the office, and because they didn't necessarily need a lot of technical expertise to do their job, right? So most of the account managers and designers, they will come to the office. Now, media buyers, which are the people that were buying ads on behalf of the clients in different platforms, we found that it was easier to hire them remotely. Why? Because they weren't communicating with clients, right? But they needed technical hard skills to do their job well, right? So it was really, really hard for us to find people like near the office that would also have the technical skills. We found a couple, but we needed to scale faster. So one of the things that we had to develop for each of these positions were uh, transparency when it comes to how they're being graded, right? What are the KPIs that they needed to hit in order for them to understand, am I doing a good job or not? Right. So when you're hiring, let's say, a media buyer or a graphics designer or an operations person or a developer or whatever that is remotely, since you're not going to be sharing the same space with that person, and sometimes not even the same time zone. There's 26 people working at Scale Driven right now, and there's like we have time zones all over the world, right? So we do have a couple meetings that are mandatory and they do fall on the same time zone, right? So, but other than that, like we have people coming in the morning and then people finishing their shift and all of that. So what you need to do is you need to have two things really clearly set up. The first one is KPIs. Like again, how are each people being graded, right? There's some positions that are easier, like sales positions, for instance, right? If they hit their sales quota or if they hit, their revenue quota, that's easy. But how do you grade somebody that is on operations? That is something that you need to figure out. For instance, on the project management side of things is how fast do the team complete the tasks, right? How many tasks are overdue? How many, back and forth, how much back and forth we have before the team completing a task? So you want to understand and you want to have metrics for each of your positions to actually understand, okay, how people are being graded and how people are doing a good job or not, right? That's number one. And number two, you want to start setting up processes and SOPs so that people know, okay, these are the instructions, this is the manual for the position. Now, the good news about SOPs is that, and this happens a lot with small businesses and small entrepreneurs or people that are just starting out, they might have a small team. They think that the entrepreneur or the head of the organization needs to put together all of the processes. And that's not the case. The person that's closest to the activity needs to put together the processes. So, for instance, the media buyers are the ones setting up the processes for the media buying, right? The project managers are the ones setting up the processes for the project manager's position because they're closer to the process, right? So, and then we review them and all of that. So you need to have clear accountability, clear KPIs, and clear processes. And the sooner you start working on that, the better, because that will allow you to understand and grade people. And that will allow people to not make mistakes when it comes to doing their job. Does that make sense?
Yes, indeed, Hernan. One thing is, as a CEO of a company, once you have built up that team, how do you interact with the remote employees? Because they would get the messaging in a different manner if you are too friendly. But then,
Yeah.
internet or online is a very different sort of medium. It does not allow too much of silence like you would have in a normal person to person conversation. If I just keep quiet for even a few seconds, you will start wondering what is happening, whether it's equipment is working or not working.
Mm-hmm.
How
Mm-hmm.
do you
Mm-hmm.
convey that you are a hands-on man? You are talking about business. At the same time, you make the employees or your team feel part of the larger group who is sitting at the headquarters.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great question, and there's a couple ways that we do that. So we communicate like technically, we communicate on Slack. We have Slack channels for pretty much everything. That's our main communication hub, and then we use ClickUp for project management. Right, ClickUp is where the clients live, is where all of the daily logs, the daily activities live, and then we use Slack for daily communication. Now, there's a couple things that we do have. Like we do have a daily huddle or a daily a daily scrum call, where we use that scrum call to clear out blockers that might happen and all that. That's one of the mandatory meetings that we have. And then also, and this it's all the general managers. Her name is Mika, and she's awesome. And she put together like some activities to actually build that community feel, right? To build that companionship and camaraderie feel, and we do that on the scrum every single day. So that's the one thing. Then we also have a couple of channels. For instance, we have a fitness accountability channel. So anyone that wants to get in shape, we want to have that culture of, of fit people or people that care about their health and whatnot, because that will impact everything that they're doing. So we have a fitness accountability channel that helps them get in shape. And we have somebody, we actually are getting a nutritionist and a fitness coach onboarded this year for everyone that wants to have that, right, at the agency. That's one thing. And then another thing that we have we have a vent channel. So when you're working remotely, you might be working alone for hours. You might be feeling frustrated. You might be feeling that you need help and whatnot. So we have a vent channel, and that's a safe space for people to come in and voice their concerns and voice their frustrations when it comes to vendors, when it comes to clients, when it comes to pretty much anything. So that's kind of a safe space where they will not be judged. So come here, post a meme, vent away, and that has helped a lot actually, because a lot of people, they just, sometimes they get frustrated, and it's a fast-paced agency environment, and clients have their own agendas and they have their own requests and whatnot. So the vent channel is doing really well. So we have those little channels where it's like not really not work related specifically, but they're like little things that we want to add to the to build the culture, right? And also my job as part of the as being the CEO of the company is also to share with them the vision. I do that every single week. I send an audio to the entire team, sharing with them the good news, the vision, where we're going, doubling down on the values of the company and all that. So it's harder to build that kind of culture when it's a remote team, but I think it's doable if you put together the right processes, if you put the right processes in place.
Right, Hernan. Right. You can build up a good digital marketing agency, but I want to understand, how do you build an award-winning digital marketing agency?
Yeah, that's a great question. And when it comes to the awards, I think that we are always striving. So my goal is the agency needs to be getting better every single day, right? That's the idea. And people that are involved in every single day activities, they need to get better every single day. That's what we call focus and work with excellency, right? And one of the things that I said at the end of last year, beginning of this year, is that excellency will be a requirement moving forward, right? So if you're not behaving in an excellent way, then you will have a really hard time working for this company. Now, excellence doesn't mean that you don't make mistakes. We are humans, we make mistakes, and that's fine. Excellence means that you're learning from your mistakes, and number one, but also number two, that you're always striving to be better than yesterday at your position and as a person, right? So the competition is always against yourself. So I think that by the sheer volume and compound interest that comes from every person knowing that they need to get better at their position that they were yesterday, I think that takes the agency to a new world-class level, where you're giving your clients a world-class experience onboarding them, but also you're giving them world-class results, because we're being graded on two things. We're being graded on communication and reporting and all that, but we're also being graded on results, because we are a direct response agency, right? Where every dollar that we spend on ads needs to be held accountable. So you can have stellar communication, but you can have poor results, the client's going to leave. At the same time, you can have stellar results, but you can have poor communication, the client's going to leave, right? So you need to be stellar on those two things. You need to give them great results, but you also need to communicate in a great way. And that has to do with the people that occupy each position, especially leadership positions, but also one of the values is that we strive to get better every single day. We deal with hard things in an excellent way, and excellency means that you are striving to get better than the day before, if that makes sense.
Right, right. Tell us a bit more about scale driven. What makes it different than a lot of other options that your clients could have, but they have chosen you? What is it that you bring up, and what is it that lead to several awards for your agency?
So I think there are two main things that makes us different versus the myriad of digital marketing agencies out there. The first one is that we have the experience working with these big budgets and big brands where competition and expectations are super high, right? Like how many agencies how many people that might have worked with these with these names, and we keep on working with these names in the past, right? So there are not a lot of agencies that just fit the bill when it comes to that. That's the number one thing. And then the other thing is, for a lot of clients, and we are quote unquote picky when it comes to getting clients and onboarding clients, is that, which is also a differentiator, right? Like, we don't work with everyone. We work with people that we know we can win for. Is that if the client doesn't win, we don't make any money. That means that we don't charge any retainers. We don't charge any monthly fees. We just charge a percentage of whatever we bring to the table. And again, we need to make sure that we set ourselves and the clients up for success. So we cannot just work with everyone. We need to make sure that we are, we're relying and we have the right type of assets to work with. But what makes us different is that, again, we don't charge anything unless we are increasing the revenue for a client. We run the traditional agency model, which is, and some clients will rather do that, right? Pay a retainer and then have us do their marketing for them. But this new performance approach, which we launched at the end of last year, is doing really well for the right type of clients, because it puts us on the same page, right? We're not just providing them a service, but we're actually helping them increase their revenue. And that means that we will run their Facebook, the paid advertising on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Google, TikTok, and all of that. Twitter right now, we're also having good results with Twitter ads. And but we'll also build their funnels. We'll take a look at their emails and their automations. We'll even advise them on their sales process, right? Because you can give them the best type of leads, but if they're not closing on the phone, it doesn't mean anything. So we help them with that, and we take a look at the entire business as a whole. And then if we can help them increase their revenue, that's how we get compensated. We don't charge any retainers or anything like that. So
Right, right, Hernan. So, what sort of companies, individuals who can connect with you? What they can expect from you in terms of when if they want to engage with you?
for sure, yeah. The digital marketing agency, well, you can go to scale-driven.com and check us out. Usually we work with people that have a proven process, a proven service. We don't work with people that are just starting out, or at least on the agency side of things. But we've also launched information products. We have a coaching program last year as well, because the reality is that I realized that a digital marketing agency, as much as any service-based business, has a cap as to how many clients you can intake every single month, right? I cannot take infinitely amount of clients. Even if I wanted to, I can't. So, but I still wanted to help more entrepreneurs do that. So what we did at Scale Driven is we launched information products. We launched courses on how we do things for our clients. We also have a coaching program as well for people that want to learn to do this for themselves or for other clients and whatnot. We do have a decent amount of digital agencies that come to us to learn what we do so that they can deploy for their clients as well. If you want to scale in 2023, whatever you're at right now, there's potentially somewhere that we can help you, or somehow we can help you, whether it is through education, through coaching, or through our done for you services at scale-driven.com.
Right, right. And how do they connect with you, Hernan?
Hernan Vazquez in all the socials. If you search for me, we have a YouTube channel as well with tons of content. TikTok, Instagram, and scale-driven.com is the way to go. And we have a free guidebook that we just put out. I'll send you the link. It's a step-by-step guide on how we are launching and running Facebook ads that work really well. So I'll send you the link. It's completely free to download, and people are getting a lot of value out of it. So.
Right, right. And I'll also put that in the YouTube description. People can, make use of that. Now, one thing I wanted to understand for the audience, Hernan, is that a lot of digital agencies are there all across the globe. And they are all based around Facebook, Instagram, Google, and a lot of these online places. And at the same time, as we know, as we just entered 2023, a lot of transition is happening in everywhere. Even Google now has a new competitor. They say Microsoft is now getting Chat GPT into its system, and maybe very soon it will integrate that with Microsoft Word and as well as all these systems. And you never know, Microsoft Edge might come up in a very different avatar, or Bing we can say. So we don't know how it's changing. Suddenly, a lot of attention has shifted towards ChatGPT and Microsoft. And now Google is also coming out with this new version of Chrome, and then perhaps maybe it might think about some answer to ChatGPT with its own version of ChatGPT's competition. In these circumstances, as an owner of a digital marketing agency, how do you manage your future in terms of business? You have several employees, as well as the whole existence about everything. It's all digital.
Mhm.
How do you manage those things? How do you continue to think forward when so many transitions are happening, and at the same time live your own life in these times which are so uncertain? Just
Yeah.
wanted to understand your mind on this.
Yeah, great question. And I see these, and I like to see this like digital marketing, it's a never changing landscape, right? We know this. So we're kind of used to it, right? Like everyone that comes in knows that this is a really humbling profession or career, if you would, because for the most part, like I've been in the game for a decade and a half almost, and the reality is that the things that I think are going to work, they might not end up working, and the things that I think that for sure are not going to work, then might end up working. So I try not to make decisions based on opinion, but based off of data. What is the data telling us, right? So that's the one thing. But we also know that this is a really dynamic career. And, we're living in a really dynamic world. Like things are getting really, really fast and whatnot. I do think that when it comes to AI, we already started implementing it. Like since it went out, we started implementing it in several ways. Like number one, I do think that these tools can save us a lot of time and can make people more efficient. For instance, on the account management side of things, we are using ChatGPT to get the most important points of a call that we might have with a client, right? And that might take our account manager, I don't know, 30 minutes to go through that. Now it takes them 5 minutes, which free up their time to actually communicate with clients in a better way, right? Free up their time to do things that are important. The same thing with copywriters, the same thing with creative people. I think that all of these tools will free up our time to actually do what we do best, which is the high level thinking, the interactions with people, and actually, doing the things that really move the needle. So we are already implementing that, and we are also already implementing that from the perspective of output. How much we can output for a client, right? How many ads we can launch, how much content we can output for a client. Those are things that tools like ChatGPT and some others are helping us, put together. But at the end of the day, I think that this is a huge opportunity for those people that are jumping in. B, I see them as a way of increasing efficiencies, and also see it as a way of freeing us up, the human beings, from doing repetitive work. And this is the name of the game, man. I think we need to be on our toes, and we need to keep on moving forward, and we need to keep on learning, and we will, as much as things are allowing us to do so. So I'm really hopeful, and I'm really excited about what 2023 has in store for us. So
Right. And my last question to you is now, from Fiverr to scale driven. Now, where do you see yourself? What is it that you want to achieve? You've already achieved so much, worked with the best. Now, what do you want to do?
yeah, that's a great question, and we do have several initiatives for 2023. Like I've always been the guy behind the guy, right? Based on my story, I work with these big names and whatnot and helping them grow. So at the beginning of 2022, we doubled down on the personal brand. So that's something that we're growing. We are 10xing our output when it comes to content, because content is also a big deal. It's gonna it's gonna yield a lot of results for us and whatnot. So we do have several initiatives. We're putting together our first event for this year, the Scale Driven Live. So that's coming up. We're developing newsletters, like physical in the mail newsletter for our clients and our students, and that's really exciting. Uh, my ultimate goal is we are donating and planting trees with Scale Driven. That's kind of our core thing that we do every single month. We have planted, I think, 40,000 trees or something like that over the past 2 years. And my idea is to plant 1 million trees. That's my goal. So we're using Scale Driven, and everything that we're doing is a vehicle to do that and impact people. So yeah. So I'm super excited about 2023. I think that this is going to be a lot of growth involved, and yeah, and sharing the good stuff with everything that we learn with the world. So that's our idea.
Wonderful, wonderful. You are planting, hope for the planet through the planting of trees. On this note, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live.